Welcome to the first What If video podcast. I'm your host, Ashley McLean, and I'm so excited that you're able to join me today. So the very first topic that we're going to talk about today is starting. Who could you be if you would just start? What are those what ifs that you have in your life that might be holding you back? What are those things that you're like, well, what if? Who could I be if I would just, whatever it is? That's what we're going to talk about today, and I am so excited to have one of my good friends. He's an author, a motivator, an encourager, a speaker, Adonis Lenzy, and he is here with us today. He's going to join me in the studio in just a minute to have a conversation about starting. He told me one of my favorite quotes from Don Shula, and it says, "The start is what stops most people." And I don't know if that holds any truth in your heart, but it sure does in mine. I have so many things that I want to start, and that's what stops me. So we're about to jump in the studio, and I really hope you enjoy this conversation with my good friend Adonis.
I like that you took a drink of water when we started the
Absolutely.
show. This is so accurate.
That's what we're doing.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I appreciate
I'm
it.
glad to be here.
Did you wear a cool watch?
I did.
Yes.
Right there.
That was my only requirement
I
for
went
you
to
coming.
my little box of watches.
I needed you to pick out a cool watch.
That's what you told me. So that's what
Thank you. I appreciate it. It just makes me feel better. Okay, so this is the first show.
Yes.
The first episode
I love the
of What
first
If.
of anything. So it's good. It means it's fresh.
That's why you are this person.
There's no mistakes. There's nothing. This is going to pave the way.
Is it?
For the rest of the shows.
Yes.
I believe that.
I love that.
Because we're here.
That's why you are doing this show, like the start. Because I don't love the first of anything, which is why it took over a year to start this. Did you know that?
Wow, that's a long time.
Well, there was also COVID.
So you got a lot to say.
You have a lot to say about this subject that I struggle with. So the first note that I wrote is literally that this topic is my life. Like,
that's it.
Every point that you put on here is what I deal with.
Wow.
So I love your book. I did your Bible reading plan on you version.
Okay.
And I loved that. And so I got your book and I loved that. And then you gave me your little, okay, so what is that thing? Remember your little, do you know what your book is now?
The 5 mindsets.
Yes, good job.
That move you forward.
Yes,
Yeah, I
so
got
I'm
that
doing
locked
that.
and loaded
I'm
right
doing
there.
that. And I really like that because it's being a new mom.
Yeah.
It's enough. Like I sometimes can't read a whole chapter like I'd want to.
Exactly.
But that gives me like a little nugget.
And that's why, I repurpose some content and, I think about, like you said, I believe you and I both, we probably got books on our nightstand that we started, we just hadn't finished it.
Yes.
And I thought, let me give people that sense of accomplishment as well, because you're going to start a book. It's a short book. It's about 60-some pages. You can get through it, but it's filled with things some amazing quotes that you can go back and read and just refresh yourself, track your progress. But the thing I love about it, you can start it and finish the thing and say, man, I read a book. But not only that, it's helping me as well with some mindsets, because we're in the some days where we need some strong mindsets, Ashley, to move forward in life.
Right.
No matter what stage of life we're in, we're all going to come up against something that we're going to have to find another gear, dig down deep, take a stand, and get that mindset that's going to propel us to where we want to go.
I think what you said, there's unfinished books on all of our nightstands.
Yeah.
There is unfinished blogs in my mind.
Yes.
There is unfinished dreams in my heart.
Unfinished businesses.
There's
all kind of things that
because
people just haven't finished.
No, because in this quote that you gave me from Don Shula, it says the start is what stops most people. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's it. And that's when it's one thing when you start dreaming about doing something. Okay, I call that the unchallenged stage of life, okay? You haven't hit any roadblocks. No. Nobody has rejected your ideas because you just got them in your mind, just incubator, and so you're excited. Oh, I'm going to do this, and I can see it coming together and all this stuff. But now when it's time to actually put some feet to your faith and start the process, all of a sudden, all these little fears start coming out. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I don't feel those same goosebumps that I used to feel. I don't feel the excitement. And sometimes people, they kind of let that be an indicator that they're not supposed to do it, and that's wrong.
Yes.
It's like we don't go by our feelings, okay? So it's the start. When he says that, the start is what stops most people, because they get all the way up to the starting line, okay?
Yeah.
They ready, set, go. They fire the gun. But nobody wants to move because of all the doubt that creeps in, all the, what if this is, then they start the self-doubt, like, okay, I thought it was a good idea, but what if it's really not a
Right.
good idea? What if I've just, there it is, the what if.
Literally what the show's
What
called
if
this.
I crash and burn?
Yes.
What if it doesn't work out? What if people make fun of me? And, really it becomes about the process of getting yourself out of the way
That's good.
and just taking the risk,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, even if it doesn't work out, at least you won't be stuck at start asking yourself, well, what if I would have just
Right.
tried it? What if I would have just taken a leap of faith and done something?
Right.
So that question will never be in your mind because you did something about it.
And that's something that even starting this for me, because social media is such a thing.
Yeah.
And it plays such a huge role. And there's been so many things that I started and I put it out there because I'm excited. I'm like, here, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Here's my new website.
Oh, yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
Here's a website with nothing on it. So please go,
It feels good. Let's be honest. It does.
It feels like you're somebody.
It feels
and doing
good.
something.
And we love when people like, oh yeah, girl, you're going to be awesome.
Right. It does. It does. And it feels like because of the way that the world defines success, it feels like you're being successful because people are seeing you and doing something.
Yeah.
With this show, I have waited so long to post anything on social media because I thought to myself, it's so funny like that this show's called What If, because I feel like I say that now.
All
or
the
else
time.
I'm just recognizing now how much I do say
how much you do it.
But it was like, well, what if people are like, oh, here she goes again.
Yeah.
Ashley's another great idea that she's not going to follow through
Not
with.
gonna follow through.
And if there ever was a time for me to not follow through with something, it is right now with a 7-month-old baby living in a tiny house.
Yeah.
Because we're building a house with this tiny baby.
Yeah.
We have no space. Like, I don't have quiet time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to look at the
which
news.
which is a perfect time for you to find excuses.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
And so even with that, once again, I think people hit those moments where things can get tough, and it's so easy to say, well, you know what? This is a legitimate reason why I can't do it, and let me just put it on the back burner. Let me put it off for 6 months. And you and I both know it's never going to happen. Once you begin to put it off, you're just going to keep moving it further out, further out, and further out.
Right.
And that's why I always tell people, listen, just start. And a lot of people stay stuck at start because they're trying to be perfect. They're trying to have everything figured out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I believe it's just the process. Okay, you'll never have it all figured out in the beginning, but when you start, then you start the ball rolling, and it'll come in, you'll learn as you go.
Right.
But so many people want that finished product before they even start. And it's just not feasible. It's not going to happen. Keeps you stuck. And then before long, you got people going back to your social media posts. Well, I thought you said you were going to do this.
When's your show airing?
Yeah. And then you're like, okay, let me post something so it looks like I'm making some progress or it looks like I'm doing something. And that's what we get, that's a whole nother snare in itself, the opinions of other people. Because even the ones, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was doing an interview, and we were talking, and he had started his own TV show. And he said, when I posted that I was starting the show, he goes, everybody was like, yeah, man, that's going to be awesome.
Right.
He goes, but when I started posting the shows, nobody was saying anything.
Thank you. I will prepare my heart for
Yeah.
Here's my show.
That's what he said. He said, nobody. He said, so did I miss it? And we're like, no, you didn't miss it. It's all part of the process.
It is, and it's not a fun part of the process, right?
That's right. Because here's the thing: people like when they see something new.
Right.
So when you post it, hey, I'm finally going to do this. What if? Whoa, Ashley!
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but you got to remember, this is your baby, not their baby.
Right. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And they will be excited at different moments, but you got to keep that same passion throughout the course of you doing these shows.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think something to think about for me was, no matter what somebody's trying to start, it's not about me.
Yeah.
My goal for this show is not for me to be on social media or for me to be famous. It's to have authentic conversations that can possibly help somebody else.
Trying to reach people.
Yes.
And that's the motive, that's the intent, that's the heart.
Right.
And that's going to be the thing that you're going to always have to go back to.
Right.
And remember when you hit those moments where, oh, do I feel like doing another show?
Right.
is it even helping anybody?
Right.
You got to go back to the why. I always tell people, keep that why in the forefront, because that's the thing that's going to help you get through the discouraging times, because it's part of the process.
It is.
Because once you start, then the real journey begins. Okay. Right. And every now and then, and the thing I love, and God always reminds me as well, because there's moments where I hit like, oh, do I do this again? What, but then, I'll get an email from somebody, or I'll see somebody, and they're like, Adonis, you just don't know that word that you shared. And, and that keeps me going, Yeah. And I believe as you get on your journey with this show, and anybody that, has started something, man, be mindful and be listening. Because your why will always pop back up. That will refresh you.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. To think about your why before you actually start also. So that you can go back to it.
Go back to it.
So if you ever feel like that or discouraged, I just need you to call me, because I will be like, I tell everybody, I'm like, he just walks in the room and you're like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I can climb Mount Everest, and I'm afraid of heights and don't know how to climb a mountain. But if you came in here and told me that I could, I would do it, because you just have that.
Yeah, I'd watch you. I'd be there watching.
You wouldn't have to watch too long, because I'd be like, you know what, Adonis? You were not right on this one. You were very wrong. No, thank you. Okay, so I love that we were talking about some scriptures, that had to do with this, and you pointed out Hebrews 11:8, talking about Abraham. And the faith of Abraham. Yeah. And the verse that you pointed out says, by faith, Abraham, when he was called, obeyed and went forth to a place which he was destined to receive as an inheritance. He went, although he did not know or trouble his mind where he was to go.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a huge one.
That's a whole message in itself.
Yeah.
It's a whole sermon. And that's
it is.
When God calls you to do something, you feel the stirring on the inside of you. And a lot of times, when God tells us to do something, we always look at what we don't have to accomplish that. And so God never brought that up, but we start thinking, oh man, I don't have the right education. I don't have enough finances. I don't have enough connections to do that. I don't even have the knowledge to do that. And so, and we start troubling our mind, and we take ourselves out before we even start. And the thing I love about Abraham, when God called him, and, actually, this is, a lot of people can read that scripture and just think, oh, that's Abraham. He's a man of faith in the Bible. But no, he's a man. He had human emotions.
Right.
And can you imagine God said, hey, I need you to go home, pack up, tell your wife, get everybody, pack up, and move.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you where you're going.
Right.
Just move.
Where do you go?
So that's what he did. Now, you can imagine all the thoughts that were trying to bombard his mind.
But he said
he did not trouble his mind. It never said the devil. It didn't say the devil didn't trouble his mind.
Right.
It says Abraham did not trouble his own mind. Right. So a lot of times we are our worst enemy when it comes to obeying God and stepping out and taking the risk. He did not trouble his mind, which really, man, that's just such a freeing scripture in a verse, because we've got to catch ourselves when we start troubling our mind. And I tell people all the time, it begins, to me, when you start troubling your mind, it begins when you have this poor self-image about yourself. And then you start saying, I can't, it's not me, it's not possible. And then when we start looking at other people, one of the worst mistakes we can make, go to social media, let me scroll through, and oh man, look at Ashley, she's got it all together, and she's just, oh man, I'll never be able. We start looking at somebody else, and we start getting depressed.
Or Matt. So can I confess something to you? Do you know who Carrie Job is?
Yeah.
So, when she first came out, I was so mad at her. She doesn't know that I was mad at her. She was living the life that I thought I was supposed to be living.
There you go.
She was leading worship at her church. Boom, here's the song.
Yeah.
Boom, she's Carrie Job, going all over the world leading worship.
So
and I'm angry at Carrie Job. Like, she doesn't know me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I let that, really
it deflates you.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem when we start comparing. And we trouble our mind, and we bring that trouble on ourselves.
Right.
The enemy is taking the day off because we're troubling our own mind, and that's what we cannot do. We cannot trouble. It says Abraham did not trouble his own mind.
Yes. And I love when you wrote that. I went back to Genesis 12, where it's the call of Abraham, and it says, the Lord said to Abraham, go out from your land, your relatives, and your father's house to the land I will show you.
Yeah.
I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great. Now, this is the Christian Standard Bible. The New Living says famous.
Yeah.
Okay, so hang with me here. And you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse anyone who treats you with contempt, and all the people on earth will be blessed through you. So, rewind to 2005.
Yeah.
Ashley moves to Nashville to be Gretchen Wilson. Okay? I come across this Bible verse, and the New Living Translation, it says, I will make your name famous.
Yeah.
So for me, I do think that we've got to understand that, like, we talked about this in a previous show that I did, that God's plans aren't our plans. Like, I moved here looking at this Bible verse, thinking that God is assuring me here that I'm going to be Gretchen Wilson.
Promise. You think this, yes,
that is my
life,
right? Never in a million years thinking 11 years later would I be sitting here doing Christian TV.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? But I mean, I normally am really bad at starting and like actually starting something. But if this verse, even though maybe I let it speak to me incorrectly during that time, it still got me here.
Yeah.
You know, and then
that's the thing, you know, and I still think, you know, our steps are ordered by God.
Absolutely.
So God's not wasting 1 minute of our time, and it's in those moments where we are believing for something, you know, and it doesn't mean that you will never do anything great. It just means that, you know what, God is going to make sure that His purpose for your life prevails.
Right.
But it's found in the doing as well. If Abraham never would have moved, if he'd have just stayed stuck at the start, then we'd be reading a whole different version of that today.
Or saying, okay, God, I'll go when you tell me where I'm going.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because he would have just been waiting, and where God's waiting on him.
That's the thing. And it's like, and I think that matures us, that grows us when God sees that we're able to take that step into the unknown. You know, He'll give you a glimpse, you know, and that's why, you know, I say start, because if you live your life in that what if, it's think about how many people are not going to reach their place because you're stuck at start.
Right. I think back.
Because you said it yourself, it's not just about you.
Right.
The promise to Abraham was not just for him. God said, I'm going to make your name great. But I'm going to make you the father of many nations. This is way bigger than Abraham.
Yep. Well, you were just here celebrating 25th anniversary with Bridges.
Yeah.
So I think to myself, you know, Monica has played a huge role in my life.
Yes.
What if 25 years ago she said no?
Yeah.
Because then I probably wouldn't be here today doing this. Do you know what I mean? It's just crazy how like that ball just keeps going and going, and God's plan is so much bigger.
It is.
But I also think back of like, what if I would have started some of those things and I just chose not to?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't, like, that's such a purpose of this. Like, I don't want people to have to, like, if there's like a teenager getting ready to go to college, like, go what if, don't what if, just do it.
Just do it. Just
try
do
it. Just do it.
And that's the thing. Just like so many people, and, you know, and I always try to tell people, Ashley, you know, quit thinking you've got all the time in the world.
Right?
We never know.
That's true, And it goes so fast also.
And it goes so fast, and you think, well, I can get to that next year.
Right.
No, quit thinking you have all the time in the world.
Right.
And when you get those promptings or those ideas, force yourself to start acting on it, because you never know.
Right.
You know?
Right.
One thing I do know, nothing will happen if you don't move.
That's okay. That's okay.
So that's the only thing that I can tell you that is factual.
Right.
If you don't take a step, nothing will happen.
Right.
I can't guarantee you that after you take that step, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But you know what? Something can happen.
Right.
But you'll never know unless you take the step.
And you'll learn from the step.
And you learn and you grow.
Yes.
And, you know, I don't like when come across people that have lived their life and they're, you know, later in life and sharing their regrets. You know, I had an opportunity to do this, or, you know, I should have connected with so-and-so years ago. And it's like, you can't live that life.
Right.
Because then you're going to end up in regret.
Right.
And that's a horrible place to be in.
No.
So I'd rather live a life. Man, I tried that. It didn't work out, but at least I tried it.
Right. I'm glad for that now. That was a hot mess, but it's funny now.
But I tried it.
Right.
You know?
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about, we kind of talked a little bit about like thinking about other people and that. But let's talk about something that I struggle with, and I know a lot of people do, is the fear of failure.
Yeah.
You know, so what if, in my mind, I was moving here to Nashville to be Gretchen Wilson, and I have such a fear. I know.
I'm just in my mind. I'm just, I'm thinking,
it was the thing, redneck woman. That was my jam. I really, but the funny thing is, and this is a whole nother story, I moved here and I didn't do anything. I didn't go sing anywhere. I didn't knock on any doors. I just thought, like, here I am, Nashville.
You thought Nashville was going to be calling you, hey, Ashley, we heard you're in town.
Right.
Can you, that's what you thought.
Nothing happened because I did nothing. I made the step, but I did nothing.
Yeah.
So, but also, in my mind, the fear of failure was letting my family down.
Yeah.
Because now I've uprooted and moved away from my family. Mm-hmm. My parents are so sad.
Yeah.
You know, because I've moved so far away. They're in Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing anything. And I just remember, like, my parents would call me and ask, so what's new?
Ooh, you just cringes.
Like, how dare you?
Yes,
what's new? Like, I moved away to a town. What do you want me to do? All they meant was like, how's your day?
That's all,
right?
yeah. But when you hear that what's new, you feel like they're like prying. Like,
right, why'd you move away from me when you're not doing anything?
Are you famous? Are you singing at any gigs yet? What's going on? And it's like, you know, but you know what? I think that's that staple question that people ask all the time. Hey, what's new going on? It's like, nothing.
Right, I went to work today.
I'm still in the same grind that I've been in. I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, now my dad will ask me, I'm like, I kept a baby alive today.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he's still alive. So this is good. And I worked and then I cooked dinner and
exactly.
I don't have anything else to tell you, but now don't let it frustrate me like I did before. But I was so afraid of failing or seeing my family seeing me as a failure.
And you know, and I think a lot of people get stuck with that. And I think it becomes a bondage. It becomes a ball and chain. It becomes that thing that's like that dark cloud over you, because it's like, at the end of the day, it becomes the fear of what people are going to say and think.
Right.
Even outside of your family, you know, a lot of people deal with the fear of, okay, if I do this, is somebody going to call me out and be like, I told you never should have done. You know, if I hit that moment, and we just got to free ourselves from the opinions of other people. Yes. I always tell people, imagine what you could do if you didn't care what people thought about you. That's a big one.
That's a huge one.
Just imagine what you could do. Somebody told me this years ago, a good friend of mine, when I was making a transition and stepping out and with my speaking business and just really trusting God and believing God. And he goes, you know, he said, Adonis, you know what people are going to think and say about you? And I'm like, no, what? He goes, they're going to think and say whatever they want to. And what was he trying to tell me? You have no control over that. They're going to think and say whatever they want to say. And that has freed me up, Ashley, over the years. Just that one statement that he said. Because no matter, it's not my job to make you think favorable for me or negative towards me. That's up to you. There's nothing I can do that can control that. You're going to think and say whatever you want to. I just got to stay focused on the task at hand so that I don't get sidetracked.
Yes.
Because I could be ready to make a step. Oh, what are they going to think? Man. And now I'm stuck because I'm trying to figure out. I'm wasting time.
Right, because they're not probably thinking about you.
They're not even thinking about me.
They don't care.
And I will go back and forth of what I think they're thinking about me. And before long, I'm stuck. And all this time has passed by. And it's like, I could have been so much further ahead.
Yes.
If I didn't care what you thought about me.
And they're moving along.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm mad.
You're mad.
They don't.
Yeah. We put that pressure on ourselves. We go back. Abraham did not trouble his mind.
I don't think until I typed this out and read it, like, I circled trouble. See, it's circled. Like, I don't think that I even saw that until, and I was like,
that's it, whoa.
Like, but how?
Yeah.
Here, get your cows, get your wife, get your nephew.
He just couldn't.
I just don't understand.
He couldn't
how do
be
you
sidetracked by that.
That's something I pray over my son Charlie every night. I say, God, I pray that Charlie does not look to the right or to the left, but that he keeps his eyes fixed on you every day of his life.
Didn't trouble his mind. He got to the point, he goes, okay, it's a lot of factors here.
Right.
I can spend years trying to work through those details, or I can just trust God with it.
Right. Yeah. So we have like 1 minute left. Okay.
No.
I know. It went so fast. Well, we're gonna have to do like a part 2 on this because there's so much. What can you say? Like, what can we leave somebody with? What if they feel stuck because they know there's something more, but they don't really know what that more is yet? How can we encourage them to move forward, not maybe knowing fully what that looks like yet?
I think when you reach a place of being sick and tired of being stuck, okay?
Yeah, that's
you got to get to that place.
Yeah.
If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and stuck, then jump. You got to move, you got to go, you got to trust God, you got to trust yourself, and then trust that something is going to open up when you take that next step of faith because it's waiting on you.
That's right.
Don't stay stuck at the start. There's a lot out there. Yeah. You got a lot of potential in you. Explore that.
Right.
See the opportunities that are there. I believe your best days are ahead of you.
Yes, that's why I love it. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Yes.
Always. Great just hanging out with you, being inspired by you as well. And I know this show is going to help a lot of people.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Got it.
Yeah.
We would love to connect with you. Follow us on social media at WhatIf Video Podcast or check out our website by visiting ashleylmcclain.com. You can see what's coming up on What If, submit your What If questions, read Ashley's blog, and so much more. We can't wait to connect with you.
Well, was I right? What is that thing in your life that you just feel like, oh man, I'm going to start that right now? What is it that's been holding you back in your life? So think about this. What if? Who could you be if you would today just take that one step? Just the one baby step and start whatever it is that you've been wanting to do, whether it's a blog like we talked about, whether it's maybe working out. I know right now as a new mom, I really need to start working out again, but time's short and those are just excuses. So what if, who could you be if you would just start whatever it is that is in your mind and in your heart, the dreams that maybe the Lord has given you? Maybe it's something we talked about in the show. Adonis said there's unfinished books on the shelf. Maybe you have a book that you just want to finish. You just want to sit down, read a book and finish it. That's an incredible goal to have. Maybe you want to start having some prayer time in the morning, to set aside 5 minutes every morning, 10 minutes every morning. What is that one thing that you can do that would help you start that? Is it setting your alarm clock a little bit earlier before your family's up or before you have to get ready and rush to work? Is it sitting down and just writing instead of just holding all of these things in your heart? Is it putting on your shoes? I know for me, if I just lace up my shoes and get out and go, I'm so excited that I did that. So the action step for this week is, what is the one thing that you can do? Just the one small step. Let's just start small. What's the one small step that you can do to start whatever it is that's in your heart to start? We talked about Abraham and how he just had this incredible faith and he was able just to go even though he didn't know where the Lord was telling him to go. That story is just one of my favorites, and I pray that I can be like Abraham, and that's my prayer for you today too, that you can be like Abraham, and though you might not know the full extent of the story that the Lord has for you, you'll be able to just start today.